But like it's like friends of mine and stuff. Like I got really paranoid over it because I bought a Shure SM7B, a brand new one on eBay, right, for £60, including delivery, right, brand new. Now I thought it was a scam, but I paid through PayPal and I figured if a brick turns up, well, what do I care? You know, I'll just claim back on PayPal's insurance and then that'll be it. And as it turned out, it was actually a legit Shure SM7B, right? So of course now you get little bargains like that, and I actually felt the need, and I did do this actually. I've still got the receipt on my PC from eBay, and I actually felt the need to email it to a few people. You know, just to show them, you know, like I'm not lying. That's exactly what I paid for it, and it's horrible. I feel like I'm in defence all the time. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just overthinking it too much. And as you know, somebody who suffers with anxiety and whatever else, you overthink everything anyway. But yeah, it's just I find. Also, I find like trying to limit myself as to what I can and can't say as well. I find it really tiring to make sure that I don't say the wrong thing to upset the wrong person. You know, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm trying to be everybody's friend and I want to keep everybody. Of course, I want to keep everybody happy, but you know what I mean. I'm not afraid to also back up what I say. If I don't like something, then I'm prepared to say it. But it just seems like such a minefield these days of just trying to keep people happy. I don't know. It's too much like hard work sometimes. And then of course I went out into the world in the last couple of months, and I you know, like everything's changed for me as well. You know, the people are paying with their phones now and not credit cards or bank cards. Shops that I used to go to and I used to see, you know, they're no longer there. They've closed down, and it's like the world's moved on, but I haven't. You know, that's the world these days. Sometimes they're overthinking, but at the same time, modern society will cancel you in a heartbeat. Yeah, for the daftest of things, I try my best not to upset people, but at the same time, I won't pull punches when I feel strongly about something. Yeah, no, exactly. Like I went into somebody's stream. This was a while ago now. And I said, I literally waited 10-15 minutes, I think it was, because you weren't allowed to talk in there until you've been in there for 10 or 20 minutes. And she seemed really nice. And I said, I also raided her as well, right? I was doing these random raids, which I do like every now and again, just to help people that are in the same bracket of viewers and stuff that I am. Because the bigger ones are not going to help us, let's face it. You know, they've all made their stuff. They're not interested in anybody else climbing the ladder to challenge them. You know what I mean? But yeah, and I went in and I said, "Hey, sweetheart, how you doing?" And she immediately stopped what she was doing, looked directly at the camera, and she went, "Don't call me sweetheart. You obviously haven't read my rules." And I'm like, "What rules?" And then apparently then she doesn't like being called any pet names, which is fine. That's entirely up to her. You know, that's completely her choice and her right. But I was just doing it because that's what we do. I mean, you must be doing it. You must have done it at your age. You know, it's the kind of thing that we do. You know, hello, darling, you okay? You know, it's not derogatory. It's, you know, it's meant as a pleasant thing to say. Like I call people beautiful, you know, regardless of how you look and whatever else, because everybody does have their own beauty. You know, just because it doesn't gel with somebody else doesn't mean to say they're not a beautiful person. And then I just got really freaked out by it. Oh, that's Karen's laugh out loud. Can't be asked when people kick off over legitimate mistakes. I mean, I call people dude. Yeah, well, that's why I call people buddy, because you know, you just don't know, men or women. The amount of women who've kicked off at me for saying things like, "Do I look like a guy?" Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, that's probably a conversation best left alone, really, isn't it? You know, because the problem is that you're not allowed, from what I understand, and bearing in mind I don't go out, so if I'm wrong, please don't lambast me in here. But apparently you're not allowed to assume somebody's gender by the way they look. Well, at that point, I'm a bit stuffed because, you know, I'm an old man, right? And I generally tend to go off of what I see. You know, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against anybody that wants to be transgender or fluid, whatever it is, you know. I don't care. As long as you're a nice person, I really don't care. But to tell me that I can't go off of the person that's in front of me and then use the vernacular that I would use is, in my opinion, crazy. And that is just my opinion. But it's probably a conversation that's best left alone. I don't want to upset anybody. So one thing that does irritate me is the whole the woke culture thing when it comes to TV series and films. You know, I have no problem with anybody playing anything, but you know, like let's not be silly with it. You know, at least let's make it make sense. I mean, I have friends who are trans, and they're amazing. They understand what I've said when I've said the wrong thing, but they've been understanding and have learnt a lot from them. Then you have some trans people who are just looking to argue. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, you know, some people do need genuine education as to, you know, what they've said that's wrong. I totally get that. I get called dude all the time for people who don't know I'm female. In my eyes, sometimes it's safer. A lot of men get freaky with the comments sometimes. I tend to enjoy guy humour and the dynamic changes when a woman is present. So I just don't say anything. Yeah, no, I understand completely what you mean. And unfortunately, you're never going to get me calling you dude because I happen to know that you're female. And that's the way you will stay. But yeah, it is awkward. It is very awkward. Like I mean, I've said this before, but I only found out a while ago that they actually have. I don't know what they're called, right? Unisex toilets. I mean, I can't say that I'm a huge fan of that, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that looking from a female's perspective. You know, I mean, when I was younger, I'm a big guy. Right? I'm 6'2", and I'm a big guy, not just fat. I used to be a really big guy. I used to do bodybuilding and stuff. And there'd be times I'd go into the toilet and I'd be like, can I hang on for this? You know, should I go in there? You know, but like to think that there's, and I know everyone's saying like, oh, but you it's the same room, but you've got locked toilet stalls, and it's like, but yeah, but the problem is you've gone into a room, right, which isn't visible to the outside world, and then you're going into another room. And when you and I don't know whether or not you can actually wash your hands in the toilet stalls that you're in. So I could be talking out my head here, right? But if you've got to come out and wash your hands and stuff, and there's people in there, because from when I used to go, you know, to the toilet and whatever else, some people will be in there having a conversation, especially in pubs and stuff. That's got to be a complete red flag for a woman to be in there. That's the funny thing. I treat others as I expect to be treated, and being as I love a bit of a band. Yeah, exactly. I'd ask Furious to make me a sandwich, but it wouldn't be an insult. It would be me taking the piss, and so I'd rather be taking her. Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely, absolutely, honestly, and that's the thing, right? I think that there's been a fine line that's been literally just messed up between humour and insult. You know, historically speaking, humour is based on insults. It's based on laughing at someone, that is a misfortune. That's what makes it funny. Otherwise we'd all be put into prison for somebody falling over. Because I'm sorry, I just give you an evil grin and hand you the sandwich and say enjoy. Yes. Furious is absolutely lovely. She's one of the nicest women I've met on here. She's got a heart of gold and she's got a lovely voice and she's just a really lovely person. She really is. I've got quite a few women in here that I feel the same about, and I've been very lucky with the community that I've managed to get, which is why it upsets me so much that I can't come on and stream as much. You asked for it, you eat it. Okay, well, yeah, exactly. You didn't specify what you wanted in the sandwich. You asked for it, you got it. You kind of dug yourself this hole right now. Do you know what arsenic tastes like? I'm hoping not. You flatter me. That's the sense of humour. Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. There are certain things that you don't say. You wouldn't outrightly call somebody a really derogatory name. That's where I believe that's when it's okay to get sort of overboard about it. But if you're hello sweetheart, what the hell, why is that such a problem? And then the other thing is, right, is that they turn around and I was actually told by people that, oh, well, you don't know if that's a trigger word for that person. And I'm like, what? A trigger word? I mean, is it? And at that point, isn't that on that person to go and get help with their obvious mental problem, just like I am with mine, right? To be able to be in society rather than society having to be with them. Am I wrong in saying that? Is that me? I don't understand why everybody else has to change when clearly being triggered by a word isn't really a thing that should be happening. Yeah, I hate that. I have triggers, but my triggers, but they're my triggers. Not everyone's duty to know them. Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I thought. When the missus walks in, I always say, "What's the tea?" And I get, well, I'm having chip shop. What you're having? Oh dear. Actually, I can't moan at my missus for that. She cooks all the time. She's a very good cook. She looks after me really well. I've always found it's the best thing to do is that to make sure that you never upset the woman that's cooking you food. Because I can't afford a taste tester, so yeah, maybe if I win the lottery I'll have a taste tester and I can say what I like. But yeah, it's got to be a generational thing. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, it has to be a generational thing, and the thing is that what I don't understand, it does to me, it feels literally like the lunatics have taken over the asylum. We got prime ministers now who will not answer a direct question. they stand there seemingly oblivious to what's going on in the world, saying, oh no, we're fine, we're doing this, everything's great, you know. And we got British farmers, of course I'm just talking about British ones at the moment, but it's probably farmers all over the globe, you know, that are being forced to stop farming, you know, or it's becoming too expensive for them to farm. And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me, you know. And in my experience, in my, you know, fairly lengthy, we grew up in the 80s. Yes, yeah, well, yeah, so did I. I was born in 75, so yeah, I did grow up in the 80s. But it just seems to me like that there's, everybody is, do you know what? I've said it before on here and I'll say it again, and I'm not trying to incite anybody to do anything, right? So don't hold me to it. I agree with what the French are doing. You know, you start upsetting the French people and they're out throwing crap along your door with farmers, and, you know, their lorries are stopping everything and whatever else. And I get that you can take that the wrong way. I know you can go too far with it, but at least they're doing something. You know, other than that, we just seem to be laying down and taking it. We used to be such a powerful nation in the UK. Christ, for better or for worse, Britain took up, well, Great Britain, the United Kingdom, took over the largest population of the world. You know, most of the countries in the world, and now look at us, we're just subservient. And then all of this about, you know, we're going to be running conscription again, you know, so you've got to go and fight and whatever else. And nobody wants to go and fight. I was explaining on stream the other day about how there was no internet when I was a kid, and everyone knew everyone in the area. Now, if you know a neighbour, so I agree. Like the kids, like even here, right? The French don't take crap. Meanwhile, we have people super lugging. Yes, exactly. Super glue in their hands to the roads. Yeah. Look, I was looking at my granddaughter the other day. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and she was on her iPad, right? And I was thinking to myself, all of the kids are on their iPads now, and none of them go outside, so they're not making any friends. And the only way they're going to make friends now is online, and it's the way you can't trust. You can't trust who you meet online. Is that for real? The road, why? Yeah, they super glue their hands to the road because they're trying to stop the oil from being done, which, you know, bless them, they've got the right. The problem is that they're asking to stop stuff, to stop an infrastructure that you can't stop because we're so reliant on it. You know, like plastic and fuel and everything else is definitely something that we rely on as a species. What we do, you know, and until somebody actually turns around and says, oh, actually, yeah, we were visited by aliens or whatever, we do have fusion generators which cost nothing, so, but that's never going to happen, because if it costs nothing, they can't charge nothing, and if they can't charge nothing, then the gap between the rich and the poor becomes a lot smaller. I find it kind of funny because they stop all the people who agree with them and let people responsible sit on their offices unaffected. Some of the dumbest protesting I've seen like that. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But this is the problem, right? Is that I truly, genuinely believe this, that we've been divided as a nation and as a people, right? Our schools have been highly underfunded. Education has been terrible. Most people are just, you know, they haven't been given the education that they deserved, right? Which has led to people that are easily led by social media. And we all know what they did with Cambridge Analytica. Good night, buddy. I will catch you later. Sorry for getting all deep and meaningful in this one, but you know, it's, you know me, I like a good chat. It was lovely to see you in here, Blue. You take care of yourself, buddy, and have a good night's sleep. I know they say that politics and stuff isn't something that you should really touch when it comes to online stuff, because people don't want to hear it. People might not agree with you and whatever else. But it feels to me like now, like, even if you went down a pub, there's no one there to talk to. This is what we used to do. We all used to talk to each other and share the information, you know, about what we all knew. And that's how you made friends, and that's how you got on. But now it's all been taken away, and it's all divide and conquer, the rich and the poor. Yeah, exactly. This is the problem, and it is. And I truly believe that this has been done for a reason. And I think, in my honest opinion, it's not too late to change it. But the door is closing fast, because every time that a group of people come together now to do something about it, it's like within a couple of weeks, oh, a law's been brought out, you can't do that. And then you try something else, and there's a law brought out. And I think that what we need is we need everybody to just turn around and say, no, we're not doing it no more. You know, the biggest thing for me is that public servants, Prime Minister is a public servant, right? We voted, well, we didn't vote him, but, you know, we vote for a Prime Minister, right? Because he's meant to act in our best interests, or she, right? And the problem is that they get into office, and then all of a sudden, the little people that have put you there, i.e. us, mean nothing anymore. We're just scum to them. But, you know, come election time, it's like, oh, you're the best people in the world. We're going to do this for you. We're going to do that for you. And really and truthfully, you're going to do bugger all. You're going to tell us you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and then actually do nothing. Because you got 4 years before we can get you out again. And I believe that needs to stop. I love these discussions, and I think they're the same way of thinking. Simply put, the rich give the poor a reason to fight. Yeah, with each other. Yes, exactly. We're distracting them for discussions and these things we don't notice that going. Yeah, absolutely. And the problem is that I've said it myself on here. I said that we've literally birthed a generation of morons, and it seems to me like I'm having a go at the children of today, or the next generation. But I used my words incorrectly, right? When I say morons, I say that as more of a slur to the government, not to the people that are in the classrooms, because, you know, like, there's very few inspirational teachers. I mean, what teacher wants to be an inspiration and love their job when they're getting paid bugger all for doing it? You know, what nurse wants to go into work and clean somebody's crappy bum, you know, or whatever else, and they're getting paid next to nothing? You know, doctors, they're all going to different countries now because they can't make a living over here. You know, my doctor, I've been waiting for ages for all of my stuff to be done, right? Tests and everything else. And I keep constantly saying to my doctor, it's not your fault. I do not hold you responsible. And it's like, it's like, he said, it's really refreshing to hear that. He said, because I know it's not you. If I thought it was you that was dragging your heels or didn't do something properly, I would be the first one down here to turn around and say, oi. But I know it's not. And the nurses, I've got nothing but the utmost respect for nurses. I think that they do an absolute thankless job, and they work so hard. And I would love to see, I would genuinely love to see politicians, right, do a nurse's job. You know, none of this like, oh, we're going to do this for a couple of hours. No, you do it for a while. Let's have you do it for a month. None of this week crap. Let's have you doing it for a month. You know, the one of the politicians that turned around and said, oh, people make themselves homeless. It's a lifestyle choice. Well, I tell you what, let's put you on the street for a month. Let's see if you think it's a lifestyle choice to be on the street. You know, what amazes me, right, is that we're not allowed to tar all the politicians with the same brush, right? Oh, what's this? My miss has been waiting for a surgery for 2 years and found out she got removed from the list because it was sent a letter in the wrong address. The NHS, the best thing we ever had, and the government determined to... Yes, of course, and do privatisation. That's exactly what it is. But I don't understand it. I don't get it. The people, and I've got no... I do have a bit of a problem with immigration. And illegal immigrants. I understand they're coming from war-torn countries and everything else. I get it. I understand it. But the problem is that we have our own problems. And like when I see and hear that people are sleeping rough, you know, expats and you know, soldiers and just people in general, you know, it's like, and there's no money in the pot for them, right? But yet there's this billions of pounds going to, what is it, Rwanda for something or another. It's like, we're caring. We paid for this money. We paid for. We paid our taxes. You know, before I was disabled, I worked, right? And we paid for that. But we're not getting any choice of where it goes. We were always told that we can't fund the NHS. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. And now all of a sudden we've got billions going to other countries. And it almost feels like that there's this massive offensive going on to the Great Britain at the moment, where we're becoming poor as a country, right? All of our resources are being siphoned off, and it's like we're going to get invaded. That's what it feels like to me. I'm going to be honest. That is exactly what it feels like to me, but no one's saying it. We have no money for that UK defence spending. Yeah, 45 billion. Yeah. But it just, I don't know. I really don't know. It's like every day you hear something new that's happening, and it scares me because, you know, I've got grandkids. There's nothing I can do about it. But it bugs me because, like, a lot of the things that I'm hearing and seeing and stuff, they defy common sense. And I'm sorry, when you start to defy common sense, that's when people surely have got to start standing up and saying no. You know, they wanted us all in electric cars, but electric cars don't work in the winter. You can't charge them. You know, and we've got to go net zero and all of this rubbish. And it's like, the funny part about it is that you listen to proper scientists who are stepping forward and saying that climate change isn't what you think it is, you know, and then looking over past years and seeing that the temperatures were rising and falling just the same as what they're doing now, and they were raised and before we were even here, you know. And it's like, is it? There's a famous guy. He's a money baron. I can't remember what his name is now. He's a short guy. Grey hair, he's American, and he's really outspoken. Like, he tells the audience to shut up and whatever else if they disagree with him. And he turned around and he said, if you think the climate change is real and we're all going to be gone within the next like 20, 30, 40, 50 years, or what is it, 30 years, I believe it is, right? He said, why are the banks still selling you mortgages for 45 years? Why would they do that if they didn't know that we were still going to be here by then? And you know what? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's not a chicken. You know? I just think too many people are scared to say stuff. Like, I don't normally talk like this on here. I do have some deep conversations about this, but I only touch on things. But it seems like today I've gone filterless. Freedom of speech seems to be going as well. You know, you can't say anything. It's against the law. And it's like, hang on a second. I know that my granddad and his dad fought in the war for freedom of speech. You know, and everything's deemed as hate speech. And it's like, but it's not hate speech. We're just pointing out the truth. There is a difference between hate speech and speaking your mind. But it's like, now you're told, no, it's not. Just like you're told that this isn't a man and this isn't a woman and this is a woman and this is a man. And it's like, at what point do we actually have to give up our common sense? It is like a form of torture, you know. You're told in a torture room, you know, that this orange that's on the table is now an apple, and they do it to you so much that eventually you start calling an orange an apple. You know, that's what it feels like to me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do. I genuinely do. I really do.